Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong. Welcome all my friends to the show that has had some technical difficulties, if we're not lying here, over the past week and a half, but we are back. We're doing well. We had some internet outages. We had a Substack outage that delayed the release of an episode. But here we are, Scott. We are fighting through. We are finding a way to produce good content to our loyal fan base.
Yeah, tonight's, at least this week's delay was really on me. We had tickets to a play last night. Todd Waite giving his final performance at the Alley Theater. He has been Sherlock Holmes for years. So another Sherlock Holmes mystery. And then tonight, I had to pick up Ann from church, and it got a little long-winded there.
Holy Week, gotta get all the important points in. Now, speaking of which, my wife's grandmother is bringing deviled eggs to the Easter celebration on the weekend that Jesus has risen. Scott, is deviled eggs maybe a faux pas?
I'm not a deviled eggs fan, so that's
I'm
just
not
me.
either.
That's just me. So I've hijacked the question of the day the last few times. So I'm going to let you throw something out if you have something on your mind here.
I don't. I just assumed, Scott, that it's gotten to the point where I just assumed you're going to be taking the starting question.
All right. So I will go with, let's see. Let me try and think. Since we got NFL draft coming up, we're probably not going to talk Texans. So who do you think was the best single draft choice in Texans history?
Andre Johnson.
Andre Johnson's up there. I mean, because obviously Hall of Fame, 3rd overall pick. But I got to think, especially given the reaction at the time, J.J. Watt's got to be up there pretty high too.
JJ's a good one. C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see how that pans out, right? But
Dwayne Brown.
Yeah, Will Anderson's obviously going to be up there too.
Some good ones, Scott. But let's talk Houston Rockets basketball, because last week we talked the Rockets had clinched the 2 seed, kind of cruised into the playoffs a little bit, took the pedal off the metal, so to speak. Jalen Green played the last few games, but that's about it. But the Warriors had to play a little extra basketball, and they took it down to the wire before they were finally able to secure victory versus the Kings. So the Houston Rockets will be taking on the Golden State Warriors. And Scott, I'll preface my question by quoting Fred VanVleet when they asked him, Houston Rockets fans have a lot of nightmares about this Warriors team. What are your thoughts on that? And he said, I'm not worried about it at all. This is a completely different Rockets team. Scott, do you feel not worried about it at all because it's a completely different Rockets team? or you a little worried right now that the Warriors are who the Rockets do in the first round?
I'm somewhere in the middle. These are not your older brother's Warriors. I mean, this is a team that they still have Steph Curry. Steph Curry can still beat you. You've got Butler, obviously a good player.
Buddy Hield can shoot the lights out of the gym.
Yeah, but those Warriors teams were loaded. This Warriors team is not really loaded. After you get past those 3 or 4 top guys, not a very deep team. So, I mean, that part makes me feel much better. But the part that I still am hung up on is that other than Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks and maybe Steven Adams, this is rotation-wise a team that has very little playoff experience.
Yes, yes. This is a young basketball team. When you go down the roster, Amen, Alpi, Jalen Green,
Tari Eason,
Barry Smith, Tari Eason, Jock Landale, Cam Whitmore, Reed. All these guys have never played playoff basketball before. So, obviously there is, I don't know if cause for concern is the right word, but there is going to be that getting your feet wet moment, right? But also I think that's the benefit of the newer playoff system, Scott, where every series is 7 games versus the one when I was a kid where the first round was 5 games, right? And maybe you had a little less time to get your feet wet. The Rockets theoretically, I don't want this to happen, but if you came out and you got your, punched right in the mouth in game 1, series isn't over. Versus in a 5-game series, you come out on your home court, get punched in the mouth in game 1. That's a pretty big problem. So from that aspect of it, I do think I like the fact that we have home court. I think we have a better coach than Kerr. I go back to what you said of, this Warriors team isn't loaded. Pretty much all of the Warriors NBA championship teams have come from completely healthy, loaded rosters. Little to no injury, unbelievable amount of talent, right? Like you look at the roster he won that first championship with when he had Curry and Thompson and Iguodala and Andrew Bogut and Draymond Green. Like, yes, did he know how to use them? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, like, you're a fucking NBA coach. You should know how to use the guys on your roster. When I look at, like, the game plan that Ime Udoka put together last time the Rockets played Golden State and put the fucking clamps on Stephon Curry, that's good coaching to me. So I do think we have a better coach. I think our team is deeper, and I think we're better defensively. I think the Warriors shoot the ball better. They have better jump shooters than the Rockets do. And they have legitimate superstars that can take over basketball games, where the Rockets have some really good all-star level players who individually can have great games, but we have yet to see any of these guys, because they haven't been there, take over a game in the fourth quarter in the playoffs and will it from a defeat to victory, where I've seen Jimmy Butler do it numerous times, and I've seen Stephon Curry do it numerous times, where they've just decided in the fourth quarter, I'm not losing this game.
I don't feel comfortable enough to pick the series right now to make a prediction. However, what I will predict, though, is I don't think this series is going to be predictable at all. This is not going to be a case where the Rockets win their home games and struggle on the road. This team has shown they can win on the road. So if this team comes out of Houston 1-1, that doesn't mean anything to me, because I think this team is very capable of winning one, if not two games in Golden State. But I think this team could easily be down 0-2 to start the series and then win in Golden State and make it a series. I think they could be up 2-0. This series is going to be very difficult to predict in terms of length and, the final winner at the end.
I think, the Warriors go as Curry goes, right? And the Rockets did such a good job on him last time that the Warriors, literally called for the subs with 2 minutes left or whatever it was, right? Threw in the towel. I don't think you're going to do that 7 times, right? But I also think that you need 25 plus out of Steph Curry if you're going to win. Like, I think that's a fair assessment at this point, the way this Warriors roster is built, right? Like, you need 25 to 30 out of Steph. You need 20, 25 out of Jimmy Butler. Buddy Hield needs to give you 15 to 20. Draymond gives you 10 to 15, and then you fill in from there, right? Well, if Steph doesn't get his 25 to 30, now everybody else is trying to do more. So if the Rockets can keep Stephon Curry 4 to 5 times at 18 to 20 points, which I think they're capable of, I think those are games that you have a strong chance to win. If you let Stephon Curry go off for 35, I don't think that's a flow of a basketball game that you have a strong chance of winning.
Well, so the Warriors did win 3 out of 5 games in the regular season, which is fairly evenly matched. And I think in addition to Amen Thompson, his defense on Curry this last game, I think the other big key was that Draymond Green was doing Draymond Green things, and Sengun was just played his game. He didn't give in. And I think Draymond Green is going to continue to do Draymond Green things. If you want to flip that around, I think Dylan Brooks is going to do Dylan Brooks things.
Yeah.
So which team manages to keep their cool and play their game more, through that whole situation?
Most people would say it should be the Warriors and Draymond, right? Because they have the championship pedigree and they've been there and all that other stuff. However, we have seen Draymond be an idiot as recently as last year in the playoffs. So I think there's a better chance that Dylan Brooks behaves than there is that Draymond Green behaves.
Well, I don't even know if it's behave. It's that, it's that whole gadfly thing. And it's a fine line, because I think one of the things that Brooks has done great this year, just in general, is that he gets under other people's skin. And he is really good at doing that without stepping over the line. And I think what happens with Draymond is he doesn't really have game anymore. So all he has is being a heel. So it's almost like he's aging Bill Laimbeer or, something along those lines, where the only thing he has is being an ass. And so that's where I think he's lost it in recent years, where he doesn't have the game really to back it up anymore.
With Draymond, to me, Scott, I don't care about the mouth, right? Like, his mouth is whatever. I think in more cases than not with this Rockets team, if he wants to fire his mouth off, it's just going to rile these guys up, right? Like, you want to start telling Amen Thompson he sucks? Like, okay, here he comes, a freight train down the lane. Tell me suck on this, right? Like, I got one you can suck on. What I worry more about with Draymond Green is undercutting somebody on a dunk, taking a swing, trying to step on somebody, right? Like, I feel like that's the stuff where, like, Dylan Brooks will be less likely to do those kind of things than Draymond Green.
Oh, yeah, and I don't know how closely you watched that last Warriors game, but Draymond did get a technical, and because basically he just shoved Sengun. I mean, for no reason whatsoever. And so the question is, if you're Sengun, how do you react to that? Do you come back and get in his face? Do you just sit there and shut him up with your game? I think we know what the right answer is. We just don't know how Sengun is ultimately going to react in a 7-game series, because it's one thing to sit there and play these guys once a month, because you can psych yourself up, to ignore all that bullshit one time in a month. When you're playing every other game, at what point does that start to just grate at you where you can't hold back anymore?
And that's a fair point, right? Like, at what point, when you see this guy 5 nights out of 7, or 5 games in 7 days, you just want to reel back and cold cock him. But I do think the Rockets have the benefit of, like, if Draymond pulls that shit, right, gets up in your face, like, I think you just step back and look over at Steven Adams and just like tag, you're in, right? Like, Big Bro's got this one. He, here comes 7 foot of 350-pound pure fucking muscle at you, Draymond. Are you sure you want to keep running your mouth? Are you sure? Because we have an enforcer, right? His name is Steven
Oh.
fucking Adams.
Oh, I got a bigger one for you. So 86 finals, Rockets Celtics. Yeah, you know the Twin Towers, right?
Ralph and Akeem.
So do you know the name Jerry Seasting?
I don't, but I'm assuming he was the guy who was there for 5 fouls.
He was the guy who picked a fight with Ralph Sampson in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. So of course, what's going to happen when you have a fight, Tim?
I don't know. People get hit. There's suspensions.
Both guys are ejected.
Okay.
So Jerry Seasting is the Celtics' 12th player. Who gives a shit if he's ejected? Ralph Sampson's your second best player. So I flipped the tables on him. Let's give him some Reed Shepherd. Here, you pick a fight with Draymond, and then you'll take one for the team. But would you take that trade off of sending Reed Shepherd to the locker room in exchange for Draymond?
As a fan, absolutely. If I'm Reed Shepherd, I'm going absolutely not. I'm not taking a punch from. Coach. Do you remember it's Major League 2, right? A terrible movie, but very relatable scene when Jake Taylor is managing and Dorn had reactivated himself, and they're like late in the game, and he's like, "We need a base runner here." He's like, "Dorn, this guy used to pitch you inside, right?" He's like, "Yep." He's like, "Lean into one. We need a runner on first base." He's like, "What? No, nope. Lean into one. We need a runner." So set him up there to take a hit by a pitch, and then he called him back out for a pinch runner afterwards.
Rudy Stein. So who do you like for that role? Do you like Holiday? Do you like Shepherd? Who do you like for the take one for the team role there? Jack Landale?
I think it's Landale. I think it's Jock Landale because I think Reed Shepherd's going to the fucking hospital with a broken jaw. Jock Landale, at least, that guy's big. I don't think Draymond's going to send him into the first row.
Imagine him picking a fight, and then Shepherd's just looking around. Okay, you take me on. All right, who's gonna help? Who's helping me?
I think you just you sack tap Draymond, and then I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry, truce, we're even.
Game on. Be like that guy from. Do you ever watch Necessary Roughness?
Yeah, that's what was Sinbad and.
Yeah, but when the backup quarterback's in the game, he's hiding behind the officials and go, blow the whistle, whistle.
You didn't have a younger brother, so
No.
Cameron would run up and sack tap me or hit me, and then you go to level him back, and then you drop to the fetal position. I'm sorry, Reeve, don't do it. I'm sorry. I was just sitting there minding my own business. He's going, Reven.
All right, so I'll give you a choice of two bets here, Tim. You mentioned this in text. I mentioned one of them in text. You mentioned the other one. So the Rockets are pretty heavy underdogs for the series. So would you rather make that bet on the Rockets? Or I think the Rockets were favored by 1 in Game 1. So which one do you think is a safer bet? Do you think it's the whole series, or do you think it's Game 1 at home?
I think they win Game 1 at home. I do. I think the energy is going to be electric. This is the first playoff game in the post-Harden era. First playoff game for a young core. I think they come out very, very energetic, and I think they take a big win in the first game. But I also, personally, as someone who's looking at the numbers and whatnot, the fact that I'm getting plus 150 odds for a 2 seed, a second seed in the league. I understand they're young. I understand all that, but it's hard not to want to lay some money there, Scott.
Well, and in this Game 1, there is no way it's going to be a pick'em game.
I think this is going to be a series of blowouts, right? I don't think many of these games are going to be close.
I think this team is either going to come out hot, they're going to come out energetic, and they're going to take it to the Warriors, or they're going to come out scared, and they're going to come out in the fetal position, and they're going to get their ass kicked. I think some other games might be closer, as both coaches kind of feel their way around and But this game one, I think, has blowout written all over it.
I agree. It'll go one way or the other, right? Like either the
Right.
Rockets come out with a ton of energy and they just put the Warriors away, or they come out and just fucking Acme Brick Company, and the moment was a little bit too big for them, and it takes a minute to recompose, right?
Right. Absolutely.
All righty. Well, speaking of not coming out hot, we shall say, the Houston Astros bats minus one game have continued to stay cold this season, Scott. And I wish I was able to say this is much ado about nothing because, the hard hit rates are high and we're just hitting it right at people and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, I'm seeing some troubling trends. And I think there's some serious cause for concern right now, as there has been for a while with situational hitting in Houston.
I think, this team reminds me so much of that old school Moneyball. I mean, do you remember, how many times have you watched that movie?
Once or twice, because I think it's stupid because they don't mention the biggest facts of why the A's were good, which is that they had a three-headed pitching monster of Barry Zito, Dan Heron, and Dan Harden.
Tim Hudson.
Tim Hudson, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, you look at that offense, and that team got off to a slow start.
And Miguel Tejada, I'm sorry. And Miguel Tejada never once gets mentioned in the whole fucking movie.
Well, and Eric Chavez was a pretty damn good third baseman, too.
But he's at least mentioned. Like, Eric Chavez is mentioned in that movie. Miguel Tejada, the MVP of the fucking league, is not once mentioned.
Yeah, I think this team is walking more. This team is seeing more pitches, which I think is generally a good thing. Last year, they were averaging about 2.5 walks a game. This year, they're averaging over 4. I mean, that's a significant difference. That's almost 2 base runners a game. They are also striking out a bunch more, which I guess goes with seeing more pitches. I guess, if that's the trade-off, that's fine. But there's just too many guys that are, Walker hitting the ball hard, but he's off to a bad start. And how long is it going to be before people start whispering that he's a bust, just like Abreu?
It's already started.
It's not deserved, but it's going to start. How many? How long until people? We're going to hear more than a whisper about Yainer Diaz. How long until? I'm trying to think who else is struggling. I think
Cam Smith not off to a perfect start. People are going to say we shouldn't have brought him up as early as we did, like that Crawford box rider.
He's doing enough. He's doing enough, to me where it's not so bad. But
I'm with you, but I'm saying that there's enough that people are going to say, well, we should have let him stay down. He's not ready.
Yordan has obviously not been Yordan quite yet. He's been better of late, but he still overall hasn't been good. I think generally speaking, if Jake Myers is this for 6 months, you take it, every day and twice on Sunday. Altuve is Altuve. I think Brendan Rodgers has been, he's been okay. But Jeremy Pena, I think, has been on balance okay. That's 3 guys. Where's the rest of where's the rest of this team?
I don't disagree, Scott. The offense has to come from somewhere, right? And you look around and you thought going into the season that this should be a fairly well-balanced team. And I think Isaac Paredes has been as advertised, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's been about what we thought he would be. Pena's been better than you thought. Rodgers has been about what you thought he should be. Walker's hit it hard, but not much to show for it. Cam Smith got off to a slow start, but made adjustments. It's just we're putting runners on base, and we, at this point, have left a small village on the base paths. As you mentioned, we're getting an extra 2 base runners per game. We're not driving them in. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but the batting average with runners in scoring position is abysmal.
I don't even know if it's worse than their overall batting average. They're getting walks. They're not getting a ton of hits. And that's how you score runs. But I want to plant a seed here because I'm going to get to this later on in the program. What's Kyle Tucker
hitting 216 with runners in scoring position this season?
What's their overall batting average?
Let me get that for you. Probably not much better than 216.
Yeah. Here, so let me just ask a few questions, and you let me know. How's Kyle Tucker doing so far?
Fantastic.
How's Alex Bregman doing so far?
Fantastic.
How's Springer doing so far?
Fantastic.
Yeah, Correa's struggling, but all of a sudden those guys leave Houston. Tucker and Bregman in particular, because they were on the team last year. How is it that they've gotten off to such great starts when they were notorious slow starters?
Well, according to Bregman, it's when you finally feel appreciated.
Well, I have another. Just keep that question planted in your brain because I'm going to get to that later on in the program.
I have a feeling it's fucking hitting coach related. Because somehow, with everything that we've gone through, with all the transition, with all the managerial changes from Dusty to Joe Espada, somehow we have not at any point looked at the fact that our batting average is not good. Our approach at the plate is not good. Our hitting coach is literally out there yelling at players, at first baseman starting shit. He's unprofessional. And yet here we go. He's still there. No change. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of getting at, and it's it's funny. The Texans, they had bad offensive line play. What'd they do? They let their offensive
I don't know if there's a great example because they hired their assistant offensive line coach to be their offensive line coach, but they did show the main guy the door.
Exactly. Okay, your team batting average. Holy shit, Tim! It is exactly 216.
Yeah, that's what we got.
And what was your batting average in runners in scoring position?
216.
So I don't know that this team is not necessarily not clutch. Now here's the problem. Most of that came in 2 games.
Yep.
I mean that's this team's modus operandi.
We were like 189 before the 14-run output.
I mean, this team has done this for years, where they score 10 runs or more, just a bunch, more than their average team, and then the next night will come out with all they got is one damn hit. All they got is one GD hit.
But I think the difference was, right, in years before you had Kyle Tucker, you had Alex Bregman, you had Carlos Correa, you had some of these stars that you could look at this slow start and be like, it's going to be okay. Like, horses are going to get out and they're going to run, right? Like, there's a little misstep, but we've got guys in place. Like, they've got a track record. We're going to be okay. I don't necessarily know that you have that track record to get that leeway right now, right? Like, in a year where this is Fromber's last year, like last year, you wanted to trade Kyle Tucker early on in the season because you didn't think this team had it and you thought it was sell mode. But like we still had Bregman, we had Tucker, we had Jordan, we had these guys that you have to say, they're not this type of player. They're going to be better, and they were. This year, outside of Jordan and Jose Altuve, who do you have that you can say like, no, this guy for sure will get it right because that's just who he is.
I feel like I should say that about Walker. But I'm still waiting for it. But see, here's the thing, and you mentioned all those guys. We know Tucker can get on a heater. We know Jordan can get on a heater. We know Altuve can definitely get on a heater. Who else on this roster right now, other than those 2 guys, because those are the only 2 guys left, can you look at, I think Yiner can get on a heater.
But he did it last year.
In 2023, he certainly did. So who is a guy that you can look at and go like, here's a guy that for a solid 7 to 10 to 14 days can just absolutely match?
I mean, I think it's wishful thinking, but I'd like to say Cam Smith could be one of those guys, right? Like as as much talent as he has, and as little tape is out there, as he makes adjustments and gets used to big league pitching, he could go on a little bit of a rip, as we've seen rookies do. Yeah. But that's about it, right? Like him or maybe Walker. Walker has some things bounce his way because he's had bad luck early. But I mean, like Isaac Paredes has, he's a pull hitter with a slow bat speed. Like I think he's going to do it just enough to be a good player at third base, but I don't see him like continuing to have three home run in a row games down like throughout the season.
No, and the thing is that I think that you put the nail on the head, and that with the slow bat speed, conditions have to be perfect for him. Whereas I think they said, I was reading a stat where Cam Smith is in the 89th percentile in terms of bat speed. That means that only 11% of the league has a faster bat speed than he does. So he swings it faster than, the average bear, which means that, once he figures things out, that can cover up for a lot of mistakes. That's a guy that can probably wait just that extra tick longer on a pitch, and can do something with it that a guy even at the 50th percentile is just not going to be able to do.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of a young Springer in his approach. Maybe a little bit more patient than Springer was, but just mannerisms at the plate, his stance, his swing, the way he plays right field, very much gives me young George Springer vibes.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a good right fielder. I mean, he's been better than average. I'm fine with.
I think he, at this point, would you say the right call was made? I don't think there was a better option in right field. Chas, in his limited appearances, hasn't been good. I don't think playing him every day would have been better results than what Cam Smith has given you.
Maybe DeCinces plays better with consistent playing time. Maybe, but he hasn't shown much yet either. So, you're looking at, I mean, there's not much there. So to me, you might as well just let him get some run, get some consistent at-bats. Because here's, the other thing is, too, the Cardinals have been good this year. The Mariners are obviously back in the hunt. They've been good this year. You've only played one bad baseball team so far this year, and that's the Twins. Eventually, you're going to run into teams like the White Sox and the Rockies. And those are the times when really Cam Smith needs to mash in those series, because it'll give him the confidence to go up against the good pitching that he'll see in those other series.
I don't disagree. I mean, the Astros certainly have had a tough start of the season. They've played some tough teams. And, that tends to even out as the season goes on. You're going to have a stretch where you play, like you said, the White Sox, the Rockies, the Nationals. I don't know, the Angels weren't very good when we played them, but they had been playing good baseball. They did. And, we took 2 or 3 from the Mariners, I believe, right?
We lost 2 or 3 of the Mariners.
All lost 2 or 3. We blew 2 games against the Mariners. And then they swept the Rangers, too. So there's a lot of baseball left to be played. I like what I've seen from a lot of the starting pitching. Hunter Brown's been fantastic. Spencer Arrighetti thing is troubling. We shall see how that's handled. Fromber did not look good the other night. But, that happens with Fromber. I feel like every now and then you just get a game where it breaks too much, right? Like he gets too much movement on his fastball, and then he can't locate. He doesn't get the chases. He doesn't get the ground balls. And I feel like that's what happened the other night. He walks too many guys. He can't keep it in the zone. Too many runners on base, and a big base hit breaks it wide open.
Yeah, I think his next tick up in maturation is, you think about guys, that have pitched for Houston. Let's go Verlander. Let's go Clemens. Let's go Pettit. The one thing all 3 of those guys had in common is that they had a way of making it through a game when they didn't have their stuff. They could get out of a game giving up maybe 3 or 4 runs tops and figure out a way to get through 5 or 6 innings, hand the ball off to the bullpen, and say, here you go. I didn't have it tonight, but at least I kept us in the game. Whereas I think there's that occasional game where Fromber just he can't regulate that. And I think that's, if you're going to be a guy that's making 30 plus million a year for 6, 7, 8 years, you need to figure out a way to get through those games where you're not giving up 8 runs.
I don't disagree with you. The best guys in the league always find a way to gut it through without their best stuff, right? 6 innings, 2 to 3 runs still gives you a chance to win a baseball game. 3 2/3, 6 to 7 runs, you fucking blew it, right? Like, you've got to find a way to have a pitch, a get out of trouble pitch, something that can get you back in accounts, whatever it is, right? Hey, this pitch isn't working for me today, so I'm gonna go more fastball changeup. I'm gonna work the slider a little bit more. I'm gonna throw the breaking ball early in counts to get ahead, as opposed to trying to put people away with it, right? Like, the great ones have always found a way to change their game up enough to get through the start, as you said. And Framber, to me, is either like vintage Framber or he doesn't have it.
Well, and that's where Brown, I think, where Brown has Framber is Brown has the equalizer is that fastball. Because there are very few instances where guys can't throw a fastball. Because if you can't throw a fastball for strikes, you're in serious trouble. And I think, Hunter, he's going to have some games where the breaking stuff is not working. But when you're throwing 97, 98 mile an hour gas, I mean, that covers up a lot of warts.
Well, the thing with Framber, too, Scott, is he's not throwing the same kind of fastball that Hunter Brown is. Framber's throwing a sinker or a two-seamer that tails. And there are days where, like, it just tails too much. And he doesn't know how much it's going to fucking move. And, like, the first time through the order, everything looks great because the ball's got so much movement on it and guys are chasing and weak contact and strikeouts. But then that second time through, he can't put guys away because he can't locate, right? And then the walks happen, and then you just too much traffic. Framber gets in trouble when he has a lot of traffic.
All right, so looking, I think with the pitching staff, though, I think there's room for optimism. I saw that McCullers went 4 innings in his last outing, 4 good innings. I don't know what do we.
I mean, you need him right now. Fucking Aaron Getty's got a broken hand.
Do we write off Garcia? I don't know what What
yeah,
you want to do.
He's gone. So he's gonna get into a TJ. Just watch.
I don't.
Major League Baseball should be sued for what they did to Luis Garcia. The guy's pitched his whole life with the rock the baby motion, and then the first year that they make him get rid of it, they destroyed his arm.
I haven't really looked into it, but I don't know what's going on with Forrest Whitley. Do we really want to know? I don't know what's going on with Caleb Wirt. We don't know really necessarily.
They're rehabbing.
Yeah, but I don't know what the timetable is. For those guys.
Get on the fucking horn, Scott. How about that? How about you make a call or two down to Corpus and you find out how things look, okay?
I think with this bullpen, I think we figured out that Taylor Scott is more of a guy. I was going to say designated loser. He's the guy when you're down by 5 runs that you just send out there to get you some innings. Luis Contreras is that guy too. I don't think you can. They need to get rid of Contreras eventually. That's just going to have. You're going to have to get Caleb or Forrest Whitley back just to get rid of at least one. That guy. Scott, maybe can become a functional pitcher. I think the rest of the guys on the staff, once you get rid of Contreras, can be functional in the right roles. It's just a question of whether or not Espada is able to find that role for those guys.
Yeah, I think Ort coming back settles things a little bit, right? I think hopefully Whitley coming back settles things a little bit. But you don't have that with the fireman, right? Like, bring him in a bad situation and he'll get you out of trouble. It used to be Maton. Last year it was Taylor Scott. I don't think that this team has that guy right now, right? I think they've tried to go back to relying on Scott like they did last year, but I don't think he has the same magic that he did in years past or last year. And bullpens have to have that guy, right? Like for the eighth and ninth inning guys to be in their place, you've got to be able to have a guy that you can call in the sixth inning with one out and the bases loaded, and he gets you out of it 9 times out of 10, right? You've got to have that, and I don't see that person right now in the bullpen. Do you?
Well, a couple of guys I think potentially could get there. So I want you. Where do you see Brian King?
Who? I'm sorry.
Brian King.
I mean, he's okay. Like I don't know. He's fine at best. I think Ort could be that guy if he gets healthy.
Where do you get Gusto once he's not starting?
I don't know how long it'll be till he's not starting though with Aaron Getty out.
They may. They've been talking about picking up that other guy. That's the only other guy that they have in AAA that could possibly start. They've been talking about bringing him up. So I'm assuming you send down Contreras in that instance, and move Gusto back to the bullpen. That would improve things, at least in the bullpen. But if McCullers is at 4 innings, what does he need? Like, what do you think? One more rehab start?
Probably give him 2. I think.
I mean that's a good week and a half. So you gotta be able to kind of fumble your way through that. But I don't know who that guy is. I like that, the one game we did beat the Cardinals. I like King Abreu Hader at the end of the game. That looked pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I like him more in that start a fresh inning role than I do coming in with men on base. That takes a special kind of guy. I don't know, Scott. I don't see it on the current roster right now. I don't see the fireman. Like Neris used to be great at it. Neris used to be fantastic with runners already on base, inherited runners.
He's available. So he's available
for reasons, right? Like he can get the job done. I don't know, Scott. Typically, those things iron themselves out throughout the season. I just know that Scott ain't it. I think this guy has kind of lost some of the element of surprise. I don't think he's a bad baseball player, but I think last year there was just not much on him, and you kind of had to just experience in a bat or two before you realized how he was going to pitch you.
So we talked last week about the Montero deal and that opening up a little bit of cash. So fast forwarding to July, maybe July 1, where do you see the team most needing to spend? So obviously right now the rotation's short, but I don't know if it's short July 1. So you're thinking
fucking bat. Give me a bat.
Or do you want that extra arm in the bullpen?
I want offense. We have said for years we need more offense, right? Like if there's a left fielder out there, go get it and let Altuve play second base every day. I have to think at some point Jake Myers regresses to the mean and you're going to want a better quality center fielder. Any of those are better options. Hey, Yainer Diaz is continuing to not do what he's expected to into June. Go get an offensive catcher or go get a different guy and let Caratini catch every day. I don't know, but give me a bat. Give me a bat that's going to affect this lineup because I think there's too many holes in this lineup right now.
And do you want a guy who is hot now, or do you want a guy that you can project that, maybe you can turn him around here and be a future piece?
Probably the second one.
So
right? I think controllable years is always important. When the Astros make a move, they very rarely, I feel like, go for the rental player. Maybe a little bit more lately. But, in their best years and their best deals, they made moves with guys that they kept for years past the deal.
Do you have any interest in Luis Robert?
No. I don't. Not at the price tag that he's got and the decline that he's had for the last few years. I think if it was like one bad year last year and that was it, I'd be like, okay. But this is like 2 bad years in a row, and I don't think he's off to a good start.
Let's say the Pirates decide to sell. Do you have any interest in Brian Reynolds?
Yes.
I would as well. I would as well.
I do. Cedric Mullins, if he
He's
comes available.
He's a would-be free agent, so that would have to be, obviously the Orioles being in sell mode. And then you have that same problem of, are you going to be able to bring this guy back? I've definitely liked Mullins as a player, and he's off to a good start. So, that's obviously a good thing.
Yeah, I think bullpen guys are a dime a dozen in Major League Baseball, where I don't mean that in a way of like anyone can do it. I mean like the ones that are having a good year on bad teams will show themselves, right? Like it's too early to tell, but there's going to be 15, 20 guys that you can go get for relatively affordable prospects on a bad team. That's a 6th or 7th inning guy who's having a good year and he can help your bullpen, right? Like there are a lot of those guys out there.
Okay, here's a name that you might recoil at, but I'm just thinking out loud here. Any interest in Andrew Benintendi?
No.
He was kind of hitting well before he got hurt this year, but I think he'll be back, and he finished the last year strong.
No.
He would be, that left fielder,
No.
I'm trying to think. The Rockies really don't have anybody that we really want, unless you want to get Ryan McMahon and move Paredes to second.
It's a little early, Scott. I know you love the trade chatter, but it's a little early. We've got to see who the sellers are going to be, right? Like obviously the Rockies suck.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think it's too early because at the end of the day, I need to know how bad or how good Altuve is in left field to know, do I want to go get a left fielder and move him back to second base? Or do I want to go get like a good second baseman and just put a good bat at second base and let Altuve continue to play left field? Because at the end of the day, Brendan Rodgers has been okay, but like, what if an all-star second baseman becomes available? What if who's the guy from the Padres? He doesn't hit for power, but hits for like 350.
Oh, Luis Arias.
Yeah, right. What if Arias becomes available?
Well, another one.
Sign me the fuck up for that. Sign me up for that all day.
Another name that would require major league talent going back, but I've heard Rafael Devers is not too happy about his situation.
I don't know if I want a malcontent. Do you? And where's he going to play? Third base?
But that would be
not even third baseman. The whole reason they went and got Bregman is because Devers sucks defensively.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think Paredes has been good. He hasn't been great, but I think he's played a good third base. I think he's played a better third base than Rafael Devers would.
And that's the differences between, I think, for people who are listening to this going like, Christian Walker sucks. There is an absolute Grand Canyon gap between Jose Abreu defensively and Christian Walker defensively. Christian Walker has probably saved each of those infielders probably 2 runs each, easily. And so, obviously you can look at it and say, God, man, look at him. But number one, he draws walks. He's doing that. And number 2, he's defending the position. So he's giving you something every night.
Yep. All right, Scott, speaking of giving you something, why don't we give away a couple awards? I know you've done so well in the past of keeping your nose clean. However, I am aware that today is not going to be that case. So go ahead. Horse's Ass of the Week. Who do you got?
Horse's Ass. I don't know who to give this to. I don't know if this is going to be Alex Centrone for being the Astros hitting coach, or if this is going to be Joe Espada for keeping him the Astros hitting coach, or Dana Brown or Jim Crane. I don't know if Alex Centrone has pictures of somebody in a compromising situation. Maybe he sold his soul to Reggie Jackson or Jeff Bagwell. I don't know what the situation is, but this team's hitting has been horrible. And it's been horrible for a while. It was horrible last year. And they went out and they got some more patient hitters, and they're being more patient. But this team, and the fact that Alex Bregman and Cal Tucker immediately start mashing when they go somewhere else, early in the season when these guys are notorious slow starters, that screams that something is going on. And, if Alex Bregman produces 5 or 6 wins this year, man, that's gonna be an awful look. Kyle Tucker obviously is a 5 or 6 win player. I mean, but that's not why you traded him. I mean, there's rumors that he's going to get 11 years and $450 million. And if he gets that from the Cubs, God love him, because I can't, justify that rate. But you got to look at your crosstown. When the Rockets sucked, what did they do, Tim?
And they hired a new coach, changed the culture. They made changes to get better.
That's right. And they hired the best coach available on the market. And all of a sudden, the team started playing better. Did their talent improve? Sure. But I don't think if you look at this roster, I mean, what's different? You got Dylan Brooks, you've got, Fred VanVleet. Those are not, elite NBA players. So there's no reason why you should go from 20 wins to 50 wins in the span of 2 years unless you're getting better coaching. And this team, I'm sorry, there's too much talent on this team. And I'm sick and tired of watching guys like Yainer Diaz fish at, crap that's off the plate. Watching, Jeremy Pena's been a little bit better this year at fishing, but, he's been a fisher. I can accept Altuve as a Hall of Famer. He's going to fish a lot. But, when you're starting to make excuses for half your damn lineup, because Myers fishes too, and you're starting to look at this lineup and go like, well, you got these 5 guys that fish, but that's okay. No. You got to either, sack up, teach these guys something different, or maybe it's the fact that they've tuned him out. That always could be the case as well. But, and I'm not saying, you fire Alex Centrone today, before we get into the month of May, but maybe in the offseason when we were looking at this team being a bad hitting team for, I think, the first time in their World Series run since 2017, maybe that was the time to go, man, let's get a new voice in there.
I don't disagree. I think, I talked about it earlier. The approach is fucking terrible. And I wonder if it's the way that they study film before the game, right? Like, and I'll look at it like we'll look at like through the NFL lens, right? The biggest gripe that we had with the Houston Texans with Gary Kubiak was that, like, the game plan didn't change. Everybody and their fucking mother knew that we were going to run a play action boot right on the first play of the game because that's what Gary fucking did. And I feel like Centrone is the same thing, right? Like, this is what he's going to do. He's not going to change how he coaches. He's not going to change, what the approach is or what the approach should be. This is how I teach. This is how I coach hitting. This is what I'm going to do. Because I don't think the approach at the plate has changed, Scott. I really don't. I think the players, there's been enough change in players that we have more patient players. But I don't think as a whole these guys are more patient. Because, as you mentioned, Yainer still fishes. Jordan still fishes. Altuve still fishes. Pena still fishes. Jake Myers still fishes. I think Cam Smith's a patient hitter. I think that Paredes is a patient hitter. I think that
Walker
is a patient hitter. I think Caratini's a patient hitter. I think you've got guys who have raised that number on their own, but I don't think the approach is that much different than it was that last year. I don't think they're being coached any differently than they were last year.
Yeah, I agree. So who do you got?
This is a tough one. This is the week where I'm really having a hard time, Scott. Number one, not going political. I'm not going to do it. I'm not, even though there's a lot of opportunity. And dividing the line or defining the line socially in a social situation between horse's ass and scumbag, right? I'm going to save what I have for Scumbag, and I'm actually going to name myself the horse's ass this week, Scott. Let me tell you about the round of golf I played on Sunday. I hit 16 of 18 greens. The only 2 greens I didn't hit, I landed balls at the front, and unfortunately, the greens were firm, and they rolled all the way through. So my ball literally touched all 18 greens. I was 6 over fucking par. I had 39 goddamn fucking putts. 3-jacked my way around that fucking golf course. And what could have been one of the best opportunities I've ever had to shoot under par in my fucking life, I choked. I putted like the worst I putted in years. I felt lost. I think Helen Keller could have read the greens better because at least she could have done fucking aim point. But my feet don't work that well. I can't do anything but hope to God it's like a closer that had a bad game and just chalk it up and go back out there tomorrow when I play and hope for the best, because horse's ass is is being gentle to describe what my fucking putter did on Sunday this week. I was this close. Maybe I need the broom. Maybe I need a fucking long putter. I don't know. But it was bad. It was fucking bad.
I've had 39 putt rounds, Tom. I've been there.
Have you ever hit 16 greens before?
It's been a long time.
That's pretty fucking good, dude.
Yeah,
like, I got to the end of my round, and I'm like, I only missed 2 greens today. Like, Daddy was striping it. And I'm 6 over par. And that's with birdieing. That's with birdieing 18. The only birdie I had that day, a 2-putt birdie. I went driver 5-iron on the par 5, and thank God I made that birdie, but it would have been a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I've been there.
But I was hoisted upon my own petard with my putting. That's a phrase we should use more often, Scott. Hoisted upon your own petard. All right, let's do some positive things. Let's tip a cap.
Okay, so I'm going to stick with the golf world. I'm tipping my cap to Rory McIlroy. So here's why, Tim. And Rory has had his fair share of issues at Augusta National. His record there has, certainly well documented. A lot of top 5 finishes.
But they were all back doors for the most part, minus the one he blew.
Yeah, zero first place finishes until this weekend. He's up by 4 shots. It was up by 5 shots at one point. And he gets to 13 and he lays up. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that was a smart move. You've got, you're playing that nice and conservative. It's his wedge in the drink. Double bogeys the hole. And you can look at him, Tim. I was looking at him closely after that. He was on the verge of tears. He gets through 14. He's no longer in the lead. He gets off the tee on 15. I wouldn't say he hooked it necessarily, maybe pulled it a titch.
Oh, he hit a bomb on 15 with a big draw.
Well, no, I'm talking about off the tee.
Oh, I see what you're saying,
yeah. And so he's got to bend it. What was he about 210, 220?
Yeah, I mean, it was an iron in, but yeah, it was like 210, 220.
Now, how often have you been able to bend a 220-yard shot around a tree within 5 feet of the cup?
Once.
I mean, and
I bent it to the right. If I could cut it, I got a much better chance than if I got it right.
I guarantee you didn't have $4 million on the line.
No, but I did. I actually had a $20 bet on the line that day.
Yeah, $20 bet. But, so this is a guy who, after, being 3 over for 2 holes, he could have, me mentally, I'm going to tell you right now, I would be in the tank. I played enough competitive golf, even at my very best, physically, I mentally would have been in the tank. So this guy, he hits it on the green, he 2-putts, maybe not the most competitive eagle putt that he could have hit, but, he nails the birdie, has a good putt for birdie on the next hole. great shot on 17, then comes back on 18, middle of the fairway, and somehow bogeys the hole from there, but then comes back and wins at the playoff. Now, I feel horribly for Justin Rose. Great round of golf on Sunday from him.
Deserves a hat tip of his own, realistically.
Yeah, just an absolutely great round. The only blemish was that one bogey that, probably he wins the Masters if he doesn't, miss that putt for par. But my goodness. And I love watching golf tournaments where I watch guys win the tournament. I hate to see somebody like I still remember TC Chin watching that live. That was back like in 83, 84, somewhere in there. That double chip where he ends up getting like a 7 or 8 on a par 3, and he just absolutely disintegrated. John Vandevelde, I know you know that one well. I mean, that you got to feel for that guy.
Greg Norman. Multiple times.
However many times, right? I can't. There's probably I'm missing some guys, but I love the story of him overcoming, possibly choking, to win that tournament.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys had their story already written in that press room, right? Justin Rose is going to be the champion. Rory McIlroy choked it away again. Here we go. Same old story, same old Rory. And I'm with you, Scott. I know, again, even without the money on the line, if I had that much going against me in a golf round, if I made 3 doubles in a round, I'm probably losing my composure. Unless I have an herbal remedy out there with me to help me lighten my spirits a little bit, I don't think I'm staying happy. I especially with the amount of cameras that are on you. I mean, a guy got caught taking a leak at Augusta, for Pete's sake. You're going to get caught trying to hit the old Benjamin. But either way, great round of golf by Rory, great fortitude. Tip my cap to Justin Rose. This is one of those Masters, like, I was rooting for both guys. I am a Justin Rose fan now. I have been a Justin Rose fan for a while. The first word that comes to mind when I think of that man is classy. He's classy in victory. He's classy in defeat. He's a competitor. He's gutsy. I mean, he's nearly 20 years older than almost everybody in that field, and he still was right there, shot for shot, with Rory McIlroy.
And I'm not going to use this guy as a scumbag, but to me, the opposite was DeChambeau. I don't know if you saw his comments afterwards.
I did, yeah.
But you wouldn't talk to me.
I think that got blown out. I think that one part got blown out of proportion, because I think he actually had some really insightful comments on the round. I thought he owned up to it. I thought he said his swing was off. He tried to fight it. He tried to make on-course corrections. He just didn't have it that day. This one's him. I learned a lot. I'll be back. I'll be back. They asked him, "Hey, did you and Roy talk a lot?" And he said, "No, he didn't. He didn't talk to me." And then, you know how that. Like, I'll be honest with you, Scott. I was a Bryson hater. I had not been a huge Bryson fan, but I think in the last year, just 18 months, as he's opened himself up on YouTube and showed a portion of his life, this guy's just a golf nerd, right? Like, number one, he's a fucking physicist. So, like, he's just smarter than all of us. Number two, he knows golf at a level that we don't. Number three, he can combine those and literally do the math on shots he wants to hit, decide how much, figure out by degrees where it needs to be contacted at, and then hit the shot. When you can do all that, you just take literally, it's like a golf fucking Rain Man. I think he's got a little touch of autism, and that's okay. I do as well. And he just has trouble dealing with people in society, as do I. So I truly feel like a little bit of a kindred spiritness to Bryson. And I think the PGA Tour has to have a villain, right? They have to have a bad guy. And I think he was just, in a time of need, we needed Brooks versus Bryson, and that's just what they did.
I think the shot of the tournament for me, and a shot from the day from, obviously the moment on 15 was a huge moment. But how much of that final round did you watch?
All of it, minus the nap that I took from the second hole to the fourth. But okay. The team was on.
All right, so I can't remember if it was on 6 or 7, somewhere around there. Rory's in the trees, and he hits one that actually clips the branch and then drops like 7 feet behind the hole. And he comes out just laughing his ass off. And those are the kinds of days, like you saw where on 10 where his ball almost, was it 10 or 11 where his ball almost goes in the, was 11 where his ball almost goes in the water.
Yeah.
You just have to have luck like that in order to win. And I mean, those are two shots to me that's like, I've actually hit one like that where I was playing in a tournament at the TPC in the Woodlands. I was playing a 2-man scramble. Our best drive was in a fairway bunker. I hit the lip, and I'm looking everywhere for that ball. It ends up being 10 feet behind the hole. And I was just like, I have no idea how the hell the ball got here, but I'll take it.
There you go. Yes, hat tip to Roy for sure. I'm going to go with a personal hat tip today, stepping outside of the world of sports, venturing into the world of entertainment, Scott. I had another amazing concert experience on Monday night. Once again, my Aunt Kate bought unbelievable seats and could not make the event. So your boy ended up on the 4th row from the stage on the floor at none other than AC/DC. Now, let me tell you, this is a dual-faceted hat tip. The first one, obviously, to Aunt Kate for sending me to AC/DC, so appreciative. The second one, to these 70-plus-year-old dudes for fucking rocking, man. Like, obviously, it looks a little weird to see someone that, like, is 70-something years old in the schoolboy uniform, like, doing the thing. Like, I didn't need to see his legs. Like, that can probably go away. But other than that, they jammed, man. Like, for 2 solid hours, they played hard. It wasn't like just sit there and play. They were all over the stage. They were the rock stars as advertised, high energy, high output. They played all the hits, heard everything you want to hear. The I don't know if they're still called pyrotechnics, but you know the just the light show, everything that goes with the performance was top notch. It was a wonderful show. So I tip my hat to Aunt Kate for sending me and AC/DC for the performance that they put on.
I have a college buddy who actually mentioned going to that concert, and he did come out with the little message in our text chain. Saw the greatest band of the '70s in concert, and I was like, well, I think Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin would like a word, but I mean, AC/DC's obviously good. But yeah, when he said it was the best band of the '70s, I had to kind of go, let's hold on.
I like AC/DC. Don't get me wrong. I like AC/DC. They're not my favorite band, right? Like, I love Led Zeppelin. I love Journey. But I can appreciate experts having fun at their craft, right? Like, what I saw was guys who have done this a long time, still have a lot of passion and still love doing it and are adored by fans, right? And I had a great time. There's one embarrassing moment for yours truly. We're walking in, and to get the real like 1970s vibe, there is a pastor on the street preaching to us how these merchants of Satan are, going to steal our souls and all this stuff. Like, it was literally it was straight out of Almost Famous, right? Like, that's literally what it felt like when they were going into like Black Sabbath. But then we get in there and they're selling devil horns everywhere. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what? Are they Satanists? Or like, is there some kind of connection to the devil that I don't know? And then, like, my buddy looks at me and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then, like, we never bring it up again. Well, then, like, Highway to Hell comes on. No. And then Hell's Bells comes on, and they're all wearing the horns. And I'm like, oh, there's a lot of hell references. I think I understand where the devil horns come from now.
Yeah, my favorite concert probably is either Clapton and Winwood was a really good one. But I did get to see Pink Floyd in '94. That one was absolutely awesome show. And that is my favorite.
I've seen Petty and the Heartbreakers. That was up there. It's a pretty special one for me. Springsteen, Clapton, Journey, AC/DC now. I saw Creedence Clearwater Revival at the rodeo. Trying to think. I've seen some good ones. Journey will forever be the ultimate, to be front row and high five Arnel Pineda as he ran by and catch like $100 worth of t-shirts. That was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
But man, these concerts nowadays, they're outrageous, right? Like gone are the small venue, the 10, 15,000. This thing was at Jerry World, man. Like I was on the field of Jerry World, right where Dak chokes hard every single Sunday. I was there, right? Like it's a nice facility. It's Dak's fault. It's not Jerry's fault. There was no glare. I can report, Scott, that there was no glare during the concert.
All right, Tim. It's that favorite part of the show, I guess.
Let's give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Give it away now. Scumbag of the week, Scott.
I'm going to go with one Linda McMahon. So who is Linda McMahon? She is Vince McMahon's wife, who has
an education secretary, former.
Never spent a day working in public schools in her entire life. I don't know if she's even been in one. And she is the Secretary of Education. So she, and on behalf of the president, she sends out a notice to every school district in America, giving them 10 days to comply with canceling their DEI programs. Now, here's what I love, Tim, and I love I'm having, right now an argument with one of my favorite rage readers on my Facebook page. I don't know if you've seen that. Talking about this case of the guy in a Guatemalan prison. Supreme Court has ruled that he should come back. I love that we're just having a completely fact-free debate. Well, the judge said he was a gang member. Really? The judge said he was a gang member? I must have been smoking some pretty heavy hash. I missed that one, Tim. I don't know.
You got the good shit, Scott.
I must have got some good shit because that one flew right past me. What I do remember is that them admitting that they made an administrative error to send them there, and that their one anonymous source said he was in a gang in New York, even though he's never lived in New York. But I've got friends saying, well, it's a highly credible source. You know what, Tim? I could sit there. I could arrest you tomorrow. This Tim Costello guy, he's a foreign terrorist. Interesting. It's just this fact-free environment. Now, my favorite post from today, I don't know if you saw this one. We need to stop teaching these preschool kids LGBTQ, and we need to start teaching them AEIOU. And so a preschool teacher came on, and she said, actually, we teach all 26 letters in pre-K. Next week, we're teaching STFU. And I was like, thank you. I had a classmate who shared that same one. And so I just replied back, so are we only teaching 21 letters out of the alphabet now? And she replied back, huh? It's like, I'm sorry, I'm speaking too fast for you, honey. I'm just, but here's the thing. Facts matter. They've always mattered. And in a court of law, they absolutely matter. But in schools should be a place where we teach facts. Schools should also be a place where if a kid needs a little bit of extra support because maybe he has autism, or maybe she's visually impaired, or maybe that he has a learning disability, that needs to be a place where that kid can get extra support. But their solution seems to be, well, if you're going to give them a hearing aid, then every kid should get a hearing aid.
Yes. If every kid, and that's my answer to that. Yes. If every kid needed hearing aids, then fucking get every kid hearing aids. Yes.
Yeah, and that's but that's my thing. It's like, if you want to know what you're teaching in school, ask us. Show up to your school. If you had a problem with what Sawyer was learning in school, what would you do, Tim?
I do have a problem with some of the stuff she learns in school, and I correct that when she gets home. Hey Sawyer, I know that this is what you learned about the Civil War. Let's have a conversation about what actually happened.
But if you had a specific problem with what a specific teacher was teaching, what would you do?
I have a conversation with her, a calm one, because also I'm dealing with an 11-year-old, and the odds are that some things have been misconstrued along the way.
Well, but but like you hear this, they're putting litter boxes in schools. We're not fucking doing
Ask
that.
the teacher. I know they're fucking morons though. These people are idiots, Scott. Like there are people right now who are still cheering. As Trump says, he's going to lock up his own. They're saying that people who criticize the government are terrorists, and they're going to lock them up, and they're going to build 4 more prisons, and they are still cheering it on. As we have lost due process, a fucking guaranteed right in the United States Constitution, they are cheering it on because the Supreme Court said he was a gang member. It doesn't matter, due process is only for American citizens. Well, how are you supposed to prove that you're actually an American citizen if you're not given your due process? You want to answer that one for me? You can't. You fucking can't. These people are garbage human beings. Anyone who's still supporting this at this point is a bad person. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if I'm offending you by that, I'm sorry. You are a bad person if you think that anything that is going on right now is okay. We have a dark mark on our fucking souls as a nation at this point. And if you can't accept that, then you're part of the problem.
And so the whole thing is if they had, and their whole justification for sending this guy to this prison is basically, trust me, bro, he's a member of a gang. What's your proof? Trust me, bro. I have this anonymous source. I can't tell you who he is, but this anonymous source, you know what I think the anonymous source is, Tim? I think it's
GPT.
I think it's that Ron Vila guy. It's Peter Navarro as Ron Vila. I think I got his name wrong last week, but it's a fake guy, so who's the shit? But I think it's that's their source. They're going to have him the quote everybody they throw in jail. We have a guy named Ron Vila. He knows all this stuff. Can he testify? Well, I think he's in the hospital right now. But we'll get back to you.
I mean, they're fucking cosplaying ICE officers and going up to Home Depots and harassing people, and no one will do anything about it. That's the quality of human being that is exposing themselves to the world right now. So I agree with you, Scott. Scumbag. I could take this any direction. We could talk about the disservice that the state of Texas did their school children today. We could talk about my state representative who swore up and down that he would not vote in favor of vouchers, and he did vote in favor of vouchers. Jared Patterson, you fucker. We can talk about Adolf Hitler intimidating state representatives, saying that if they vote no, that they'll never have another piece of legislation passed their entire time as a representative for the state. But I am going to take the high road, and I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the amount of people. Well, let me set the stage. We're going back to Jerry World. It's Monday night. Place is fucking rocking. Everybody's on their feet. I have the aisle seat. Okay? That means that there should be no one next to me to my left because I am seat number 1 and I am on the aisle. There is one security guard, this poor girl. And I honestly probably wouldn't have cared before I had daughters, but now I did. And now I felt so bad for this girl. Her whole job was to keep the aisle clear, right? The whole show. People are like walking down with the camera, trying to get a picture, trying to get closer. Everybody's an influencer. And this poor girl, until she's red in the face, is saying, please keep the aisle clear. Please keep the aisle clear. And I saw everything from trying to get her in the fucking video with them, like posing with her, to like one lady intentionally making her mad so she can then get a picture of the lady's pissed off face so she can be a full Karen about it. But the ones that really set me off, Scott, is I had people that are fucking side saddled right up next to me, in between 2 rows, clearly not where they belong. We're 2 songs in. I'm pissed. Finally, I'm like, I'm going to say something. I'm going to do it. You talk yourself up. And then at the same time, you're listening to like AC/DC, which is like power amp rock. So now I'm getting like more mad because of the type of music that's being played. So fuck it, I'm going to say something. So like I look at the guy and I say, part of the privilege of having seats down here is that I don't have people up my ass and so close to me. And this fucker, Scott, looks me right in the eye. He goes, yeah, man, totally. I totally get that. And then just looks back and doesn't move. He just stayed right there. Finally, 2 songs later, like this girl called like the big security guard and made a move. But like the audacity of this guy to be like, yeah, man, I totally get that vibe. And then just continue to be in my personal space makes him and everybody else who just couldn't be happy with the floor seats that they bought because these were just a little bit closer. They are all my collective scumbags of the week.
So my favorite experience on those lines, did you ever watch The Ring?
The Ring, like the movie?
Yeah.
It was terrible.
So this is during the height of The Ring. We're in Fort Worth, and I remember taking Janet. This is before Anne was born. I'm taking Janet to the movie because I can't remember why we were in Fort Worth. I think we were just watching a football game or something, going to watch a TCU game. Take her in, and it's clear, Tim. I mean, I don't know how many. We'll say this theater seats 200 people, just for There's 250 people in this theater. I mean, obviously, people have bought a ticket to some other movie, and they can't. So, and they just walk into this movie. So, right there during the previews, somebody goes outside and starts bringing in this wooden bench and just dragging it along the damn ground. And somebody turns around and like, what are y'all moving furniture? I mean, and it was clear that they had a bunch of people that had bought tickets to, I don't know what was out at the time, Dumbo 3, who knows what kind of bullshit movie was out. But clearly they wanted to watch that movie. And instead of sending in people saying, hey, show us your ticket stub, we just allowed people to sit in the aisles and fucking sit on park benches in the back of the damn theater.
That's classic. I like the bench. That's some ingenuity right there. Like, I paid for a seat. I will sit.
Exactly.
All right, Scott. I think that's a wonderful note to wrap up the awards portion of our show and say a fond farewell to all of our wonderful listeners who joined us this week. We appreciate everybody who made us a part of your week. And we will see everyone same bat time, same bat channel, usual bat time next week on Born on the Bayou Sports.